This is a video review for Chapter 6, Efficiency and Fairness of Markets. We will be talking about efficient allocation, consumer surplus, and producer surplus. The chapter starts with resource allocation methods, and you should go to the textbook and have a clear idea what each one of these method works. Remember in chapter 3 we were talking about the production possibilities from the frontier method, and we said that as long as we are on the blue line we are being efficient, therefore we are not producing waste. But the PPF doesn't tell you which one is the right combination of production, and it only happens at one point on the PPF, and at that point that's the highest value allocation. If we correlate that graph with the supply and demand curve, that high value allocation happened at the intersection of the two curves, which is the equilibrium point. The consumer surplus is the difference between the market price and the demand curve, which we can call to the marginal benefit curve. For example, on this curve we have the market price for 10, and people, the equilibrium price is 10 per pizza, and at that price they buy 10,000 pizzas per day. So the amount paid in total is the area of this square. Unit is dollars, but if we are under that quantity, the market is willing to pay $15 for the pizza number 5,000. So that's a total surplus of 5. 15 minus $10. The consumer surplus, therefore, is the area of the green triangle. Consumer surplus for pizzas is 5,000, which is area, which is equal height times base divided by 2. The same analysis can be done on the producer side. Here the supply curve can be called is the same as the marginal cost curve. So the market price of a pizza is 10, and at that price producers are producing 10,000 pizzas per day. But if they produce less than that, let's say 5,000, marginal cost is 6, which is under 10, the market price. So there is a producer surplus, which again is the area of this triangle. The cost of 10,000 pizzas is 60,000 a day, the area under the curve, under the marginal cost curve, which equals the total revenue 10 times 10 for 100,000 minus the producer surplus, the green triangle. If we subtract that, we'll get $60,000 a day. To go back to the same curve, if we put the supply and demand curve together, they intersect at the market equilibrium. And at that intersection, the marginal cost equals the marginal benefit. Therefore, the quantity at that point is the efficient quantity. consumer surplus plus the producer surplus is maximized. The competitive equilibrium maximizes total surplus. Buyers seek the lowest possible price and sellers seek the highest possible price. But as buyers and sellers pursue their self-interest, the social interest is served, and that is the invisible hand. Remember Adam Smith? Every system has its failures, and there could be inefficient outcomes. If I overproduce or underproduce, if I produce too little, I'm underproducing, and too much, I'm overproducing. When that happens, there is a deadweight loss created, and that's the gray triangle over here. The deadweight loss is burned, in other words, carried by the entire society, and it's a social loss. And we have the same curve here. 10,000 pizzas is the equilibrium quantity, but if production is 5,000, a deadweight loss arises, and the total surplus is reduced by the amount of that triangle, the deadweight loss. If this happens, underproduction happens, and that leads to inefficiency. Overproduction is the other side. So 10,000 pizzas is the equilibrium quantity, and I'm producing 15. Deadweight loss arises, and total surplus is reduced, and that's another inefficiency. There are different sources of market failure, and this can be summarized into price and quantity regulations, price floors or price ceilings, which will be covered in further chapters, taxes and subsidies, externalities, for example, if there's a hurricane coming, something outside the buyer and seller communication, and etc. Well, are markets fair? Fairness is a difficult definition for the market, and there are two points of view. Nozick talked about the equality of opportunity, and it states that the state must protect the property rights, and all exchanges must be voluntary. Greater equality talks about the redistribution of income and the big trade-off between efficiency and fairness. Because if we tax people to redistribute income, we are discouraging work. And $1 that comes from tax, it's not $1 that goes to poor people. With this, we conclude this video, and we'll go ahead and do some exercises.